Pedro Santos had always dreamt of a better life for himself, his wife Maria, and their 6 children. Living in the remote village of Talisay in the Visayas region of the Philippines, Pedro was a hard-working man with a heart full of hope. Despite their dire circumstances, he believed that one day he could provide his family with the life they deserved. Every morning, as the rooster crowed and the first rays of sunlight kissed the humble bamboo walls of their home, Pedro would wake up with renewed determination. Talisay was a picturesque village, surrounded by lush green fields and rolling hills, but beauty did little to fill empty stomachs. The village's primary source of income was fishing and small-scale farming, and while Pedro toiled tirelessly in the fields, it was never enough to lift his family out of poverty. Maria, his devoted wife, supported him every step of the way, taking care of their children and managing their meager household with grace and resilience. Pedro's children, Juan, Luz, Rico, Elena, Anita, and baby Tomas, were his pride and joy. They were bright and full of dreams, but the harsh reality of their situation often weighed heavily on Pedro's heart. He wanted to give them the opportunities he never had, to see them thrive and succeed, but the prospects in Talisay were slim. The thought of his children growing up to face the same struggles pained him deeply. One fateful day, as Pedro worked under the scorching sun, he overheard a conversation between 2 villagers about a man named Enrique, who had managed to secure a job abroad. Enrique's story ignited a spark within Pedro. The idea of working overseas had always been a distant dream, but now it seemed like a tangible possibility. Evening, as the family gathered around a modest dinner of rice and dried fish, Pedro shared his thoughts with Maria. "Maria," Pedro began, his voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension, "I've been thinking about going abroad to work. Enrique from the next village has found a job overseas and he's doing well. If I could do the same, we could have a better life." Maria's eyes widened with concern, but she knew how much this meant to Pedro. She reached out and held his hand. "Pedro, if this is what you truly want, I will support you. But it won't be easy. We need to make sure it's the right decision for our family." The following weeks were filled with preparations and planning. Pedro reached out to Enrique, who shared valuable information about the process and connected him with an agency that facilitated overseas employment. The agency, however, demanded a significant amount of money for the placement fees and travel expenses. Pedro was undeterred. He sold their small plot of land, borrowed money from friends, and even pawned Maria's precious heirloom necklace to gather the required funds. The day of Pedro's departure arrived, and the family gathered at the village's small port to bid him farewell. Streamed down Maria's face as she hugged Pedro tightly. "Promise me you'll come back soon, Pedro. We'll be waiting for you." "I promise, Maria. I'll work hard and send money as soon as I can. We'll have a better life, I swear," Pedro reassured her, though a knot of anxiety tightened in his chest. Pedro boarded the rickety boat that would take him to the city, where he would catch a flight to his destination, a country far away from the shores of the Philippines. As the boat sailed away, Pedro watched his family grow smaller in the distance, his heart heavy with the weight of his promises. The journey was long and arduous. Pedro arrived in a bustling metropolis, a stark contrast to the tranquil village he had left behind. The towering skyscrapers and crowded streets overwhelmed him, but he kept his focus on the goal. The agency placed him in a factory job, working grueling hours for minimal pay. The conditions were harsh and the work was exhausting, but Pedro persevered, driven by the thought of his family. Months turned into years, and Pedro's life abroad became a cycle of endless labor. He sent money home regularly, ensuring that his family could afford better food, clothing, and school supplies for the children. Despite the distance, he maintained contact with Maria through letters and occasional phone calls. Maria would often share updates about the children, their achievements in school, and how they missed their father dearly. As time passed, however, the strain of separation began to take its toll on Pedro. The physical and emotional exhaustion weighed heavily on him, and he longed to return home. He missed the warm embrace of his wife, the laughter of his children, and the simple joys of village life. But the debt he had incurred to secure his job abroad loomed over him like a dark cloud, preventing him from leaving. One evening, after a particularly grueling shift at the factory, Pedro received a letter from Maria. He sat down on his narrow cot, his hands trembling as he opened the envelope. The letter was filled with news from home. Juan had graduated with honors, Luz had won a school competition, and baby Thomas was now walking. But there was also a plea, a desperate cry for help. "Pedro," Maria wrote, "we are facing difficult times again. The money you send is not enough. The prices of goods have risen, and the children need more than we can afford. Please come back soon. We need you." Pedro's heart ached as he read Maria's words. He had sacrificed so much, yet it never seemed to be enough. The weight of his failures pressed down on him, and he felt a profound sense of helplessness. He knew he had to do something, but the thought of returning home empty-handed was unbearable. Determined to find a way out of his predicament, Pedro took on additional jobs, working late into the night and sacrificing sleep to earn more money. His health began to deteriorate, and the once strong and resilient man became a shadow of his former self. The factory's harsh conditions took their toll, and Pedro found himself growing weaker with each passing day. One fateful night, as Pedro pushed through another exhausting shift, he collapsed on the factory floor. His co-workers rushed to his aid, but it was too late. Pedro's body had finally succumbed to the relentless strain. He was taken to a hospital where doctors tried to save him, but his condition was critical. Pedro lay in the sterile hospital bed, his thoughts consumed by his family. He had failed them, and the realization was unbearable. As Pedro's life slipped away, he whispered a final prayer. "Lord, please watch over my family. Give them strength and hope. Forgive me for not being able to fulfill my promises." Back in Talisay, Maria received the devastating news. The village mourned the loss of Pedro Santos, a man who had given everything for his family. Maria held her children close, tears streaming down her face as she tried to find the words to explain the unthinkable. The dream of a better life had been shattered, leaving behind a void that could never be filled. The villagers of Talisay came together to support Maria and her children, offering what little they could to help them through the dark times. Pedro's sacrifice was not forgotten, and his story became a poignant reminder of the harsh realities faced by many families in search of a better life. In the years that followed, Maria found strength in her children. They grew up with the memory of their father's unwavering love and dedication, determined to honor his legacy. Juan became a teacher, Luz pursued a career in nursing, and the younger children followed in their footsteps, striving to create a better future for themselves and their community. Pedro's dream may have ended in heartbreak, but his spirit lived on in the hearts of those he loved. His story was a testament to the enduring power of hope, love, and sacrifice, a story that would be passed down through generations as a beacon of resilience and strength in the face of adversity. And so, the tale of Pedro Santos and his broken dream became a part of the fabric of Talisay, a story that reminded everyone of the price some are willing to pay for the promise of a better tomorrow. If you love this type of videos, please subscribe to our channel, like and share this video with your friends, then hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any of our... Pedro Santos had always dreamt of a better life for himself. His wife Maria